Before we start this video, I need to make a statement. Do not overfeed your baby hognose. Stick to the schedule. If your baby seems hungrier or just as hungry after their first feeding, do not feed them again. Trust me, we want a healthy hognose. We do not want an overweight hognose baby because it leads to many issues as they grow up. So please do not overfeed your baby. I have seen many new breeders, I'll say new breeders, on Instagram that are overfeeding their babies. I mean, like their bodies, their necks, their bodies in general are way bigger than the head of the baby, and you can just tell how thick they are. It's just incredibly unhealthy. You need to remember that Western hognose snakes, or snakes in general, do not feed as often in the wild as they do in captivity. Reason being is babies in the wild or subadults, adults in the wild, they got to waste energy to try to track down their food to eat. So hognoses in the wild may feed every 2 weeks to 4 weeks, if that. So we're feeding them once a week, the babies, once every 5 or 6 days. So guys, do not overfeed your baby hognose. This is very, very important to understand. And this is one thing I need to make prevalent when it comes to this video. So we're going to have a good time here, guys. I'm going to go over a lot of information that I have gathered over the last 5 years with my research and, of course, with my own hognose snakes. And I'm going to bestow that information, that knowledge on you, and hopefully it helps in your journey when it comes to your baby hognose. With that being said, let's get on with this video here on HOGOUT. All right, what we're going to go over first in this video when it comes to feeding your baby hognose snake, the issues you may have. When it comes to setting up your terrarium or your tub, please keep your substrate 2 inches or above, say 1.5, 2 inches. I use 1 inch of substrate. I use the aspen bedding. It's really good. The reason being is if you're not using a heat mat, your baby hognose will go below 2-3 inches and just stay there, and it's usually cool down on the bottom of the terrarium if you're not using a heat mat. So it could be 66, 68, 67 degrees on the bottom, and that could possibly put your baby hognose off feed. Now again, fill your terrarium about 2 inches of substrate. That's really good. I use aspen bedding, and hognoses love to burrow, especially babies. So 2 inches, that's enough for your baby hognose to burrow. Now the most important part we need to talk about is temperatures in your terrarium or your tub. Now, I have a lot of people that hit me up on Discord, YouTube, Instagram daily. I'm talking weekly. I will probably receive 25 to 30 messages. My baby is not feeding. What should I do? My baby hasn't fed in 2 weeks. My baby hasn't fed in 4 weeks. My baby didn't feed on their last feeding. Well, we're going to go over the issues, possible issues, and what you should do. But the most important part, like I stated, is temperatures. That's substrate temperatures, not ambient temperature. So your substrate temperature on the warm side should be between 84 to 90 degrees, and your cool side, 74 to 83 degrees. Make sure you have a hide on the warm side and a hide on the cool side too. That's very important too. And I need to stress here that no part of your terrarium should be below 70 degrees because, like I stated, it could possibly put them off feed. Now, the humidity level should be between 20 to 40% humidity. It's pretty healthy. It's pretty good. But when they go into shed, you want to make sure that your terrarium or your tub is above 40%. That helps them shed. Move the water bowl from the cool side, in the middle to the warm side. That helps build a little humidity in the terrarium or tub for your hognose to have a very, very successful shed. Now, the most important part I want to stress here is don't worry if your baby didn't feed on their next feed-in, if they haven't fed in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It happens, guys. It actually happens. Don't worry about it. If everything above that I stated is great, like the temperatures are great, the humidity is good, everything seems good when it comes to temperatures, you should be fine. Now, this is the one worry when it comes to Discord, YouTube comments, and Instagram comments. Now, not to stress, because some males will go off a feed between 1 to 3 months, not so often with the females, but it does happen with the females, but just not as long, not as a long duration, I should say. Now, when it comes to feeding your babies, if you're a new owner, you want to get a cup of water, warm water between 85 to 90 degrees, put the pinky in there for about 10 to 15 minutes. let it thaw out. Let it thaw out, and you should be good to go. Now, when you feed your baby, you wouldn't try to feed the baby with tongs head first. Sometimes babies will only feed if they're drop fed. Make sure you ask the dealer or the breeder how were they feeding that baby. Now, in a little bit, we're going to go over how much you should feed your babies and what size pinky or mouse you should feed your baby. And of course, like I stated, how often. Now, with that being said, let's get on with buying a baby hognose and from a reputable dealer. Now, let's talk about reputable dealers, breeders, people that breed the Western hognose snakes, where I recommend buying from. Now, when it comes to buying a baby, these are questions you should ask. When was the baby born and at what weight? When did the baby first feed after hatching? How many consecutive feed-ins has this baby been on frozen, thawed, unscented pinkies? And the next question would be, of course, has this baby ever fed on scented pinkies? If so, what scent? Does the baby feed when you drop feed them in the tub, terrarium, whatever, or do they feed off of tongs? Now, I feed off of tongs, my babies on their first feed-in, and I had Sil's clutch this year, 16 babies actually on our first clutch, and they all fed off of tongs. First feeding ever after 7 days of hatching. They all 16 fed off of tongs. And of course, that is the ultimate goal when it comes to feeding your babies, to have them feed off of tongs. And of course, the one thing I supply to my customers is a history of the feed-in schedule, when they fed, the dates, and what they did feed on. And of course, at the end here, all your reputable dealers, all the breeders, should be able to answer all these questions with no problem. Now, the one thing I will state here is that I don't recommend buying from pet shops. Now, if you want to buy a baby hognose from a pet shop, please make sure that they have all the information I stated above. You know, do they know the breeder? Did the breeder give them any kind of feeding schedule, feeding sheet, when they fed, what they're feeding on, unscented, so on and so forth. Please ask those questions when it comes to the pet shop. Reason being is I've had a couple people that brought baby hognose from a pet shop, and they asked when was the last time they fed. Well, they haven't fed with us. Well, how old is the baby hognose? Oh, they're only about 5 weeks old. Like, guys, that's a no-go for me. Like, if you're going to buy a baby hognose, at least 8 to 10 consecutive feed-ins before you even buy a hognose. All right, so I just want to stress that right there. Now, the next topic I want to talk about is what size pinky versus the weight of your baby hognose, or adult hognose, subadult hognose, so on and so forth. I changed these values over the last couple of years, so let's go over them right now. So 0 to 15 grams, extra small pinky. Now, if your baby is 1 to 6 grams, I recommend feed in just the pinky head only until they become, you know, they're gaining weight, they're picking up the grams, they're around 7 or 8 grams. Then you can go to an extra small pinky, and that's an extra small pinky out of that pack, the smallest one you can find. Now, 16 to 25 grams, small pinky, 26 to 35 grams, large pinky, 36 to 60 grams, peach fuzzy, 61 to 90, fuzzy, 91 to 120 grams, small mouse, 121 to 170 grams, medium mouse, and 171 grams plus. Large mouse, I don't think there's a need for an extra large mouse unless they're really like, the females are like really big, like 300 grams, 320 grams. Then you go to an extra large mouse. Now, the next topic is when to feed my hognose snake. Now, females will grow faster than males. Of course, that's pretty obvious, of course. Now, this is my recommendation. 1 gram to 30 grams, 5 to 6 days. 31 to 140 grams, 7 to 10 days. And 141 grams to, say, 300 grams, 14 to 18 days. Now, guys, 1 to 30 grams is 5 to 6 days I recommend. And, of course, that's the size of the pinky versus the weight of the hognose. And I recommend one feeding, one pinky, one mouse per feeding, not 2, just 1. That's all you need, guys. Now, where do I buy my pinkies and my mice from? Well, I buy them from rodentpro.com for large quantities. Now, they have the medium, large, and extra large mice, 25 quantity, but the pinkies, extra small pinky, large pinkies, I think it's peach fuzzies and fuzzies, they're a quantity of 100. So now if you have a lot of hognoses, I recommend buying from Rodent Pro. But if you're a small breeder, if you're a small keeper, I recommend Cold Blooded Cafe for smaller quantities, up to 25. Towards the end here, I'm going to link a few videos I have made over the last few years when it comes to setting up your terrarium, setting up your tub, you know, how to feed your baby hognose, different methods on how to feed them. drop feeding, tongue feeding, so on and so forth. Check out those videos. I go into much detail on how to do so. Hopefully, you'll learn from that. It's a pretty good educational video that I'm pretty proud of. I think some of these videos are over 10,000 views. So check them out. I'll link them down in the comment section, also in the description. Also in the description, Joe. In the description box. Check it out. Now, at the end here, I want to talk about methods of feeding your baby hognose. Of course, there's going to be a video down below that will show you videos on how to do these different methods. The first one is, if your baby's not feeding, try a cloudy Tupperware bowl. It works incredibly well. I do have a video on this down below that shows you an example on how to do this. It works very, very well. And the next method is putting a paper towel underneath the warm hide and putting that pinky right in front of that warm hide. If your baby's in the warm hide, put them in the warm hide. Just drop that pinky right outside the warm hide. It works wonders. I'm telling you, it works wonders. And I've had a lot of people worrying about their hognose not feeding. They tried that method and boom, they came back to me the next day and said, Joe, that worked perfect. Thank you very much. If the baby has been a proven feeder, eater, they will feed again. So if your baby has not fed at the end here for a week or their next feed in, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 8 weeks, don't worry. They will feed again. And I do recommend, if they're not feeding, to try to feed every 5 to 6 days, 5 to 7 days. Don't try every day because they might be a little skittish, still a little scared. They might be in shed too as well. Some hognoses do not feed when they're shedding, so be aware of that too as well. But with all that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I put a good amount of time into this. If you have any questions, topics I did not cover, issues I did not cover in this video, hit me on Discord. I'm very active on Discord. Discord links down below, free to join. We're very active on Discord. And I'm very active on Instagram. So check out Instagram. Hit me up there with a DM. I get a lot of DMs there quite often. And I help people. So that's what we're here to do at HOGOUT. Help people and have a good time on raising, caring, and breeding the hognose snake. With all that being said, leave your comments down below. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. This is Joe from HOGOUT. I'm out. Cheers.